Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Cake Radio by CakeDive. Whether you are listening to this on your favorite podcast platform or you're watching this on the ZCN Ticket YouTube channel, I just want to give a special thank you for tuning in, and I hope you keep tuning in. Are y'all ready for that slice of cake? If so, let's get started. Hi, Beyonce. We're talking about you today. We talk about you today. So as you guys know, last weekend, Renaissance, a film by Beyonce, released in theaters. And just before we even get started on the commentary, I gotta let you guys know that I did in fact go tune in to see the movie, and I had a good time. Now, I did not pay the full 32 or 30 so dollars that it cost to go see the movie. I paid 10 because I have Movie Pass. It is, the movie subscription platform is back. This is not a sponsorship because they got their own issues. Low key, sidestep, let me drag them real quick. Because basically, Movie Pass, this new form of Movie Pass, because they came back after they shut down and filed for bankruptcy or whatever. This new version of Movie Pass goes on, credit system. You can see X amount of movies with your plans. There's a $10 plan, a $20 plan, I believe a $30 plan too. And I think it low-key might be on its last legs because the way they keep jacking the prices up, the way they keep jacking their credits up, is astounding. So up until that weekend, it was like, I believe it's like 18 credits to like 20 credits to like 27 credits. And for this film, surprisingly, they allowed people to like use Movie Pass credits to see it. With the Taylor Swift film, they didn't do that, or once they decided to do that, that was back when and I'm on the $10 tier. So, but I had a great time with it. I thought that it was a really enjoyable film. It might be one of the best films of the year, featuring, the family, Beyonce's perspectives on like aging, and how her Uncle Johnny was so formative to, her career and to the album, why she wanted to dedicate this album to him. And, a lot of the different conversations throughout the film like that. I also really like the side performances, like the features with Kendrick Lamar, Megan Thee Stallion. I especially love that performance with Megan Thee Stallion. I'm a hot girl. I'm a hottie down. Like, I could talk and drag any individual around, but I'll never drag Megan Thee Stallion. She's just that girl. And that's all there is to it. That being said, I came home and was like, ooh, like, let me see the timeline. Like, the girls probably already coming out of the movie, and day one, like, I already seen positive reactions. Everyone's liking the movie 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. The critics love it, the audiences are loving it. And as the weekend goes on, I start seeing from some people, some of them my mutuals, that in some tweets that, informed me that there was a boycott of this film going on. I did not know that there was a boycott going on. And I was like, oh my God, like, who? Ain't nobody told me nothing. And I think the reason behind that is because I'm not fully, like, I'm not part of the Beehive. I wouldn't necessarily, like, say that I'm, like, a Beyonce stan. I would say I'm a fan and I do appreciate her music, but I don't think that I've been fully, like, engrossed into, like, the standum of her like that. But that caught me off guard and it kind of worried me. I'm like, ooh, I didn't mean to cross the line like this. Like, let me do my research. Let's look back. When did this happen? When did we start having these conversations? And about a month or so before release, there was, a collective of members of the Beehive who were going around and spreading posts and like saying that they want Beyonce and her production company, Parkwood Entertainment, to do the following things. they wanted her to give a statement on the situation that's going on currently in Israel and Palestine. They also wanted Beyonce to, in case you are not aware of what was going on, this, like when opening weekend came by, not only was there no statement, but the film still screened in Israel. And a lot of people were, reasonably upset, as well as with the numbers coming in. The film still broke records. It's the highest grossing film that opened. It had the highest opening for a film that was not rated by the Motion Picture Association of America, or the MPA. It also was, some breaking some records, for concert films. It was still behind some of the others, especially the Taylor Swift film, but it still broke records. A lot of records and a lot of demo shifts were happening with this film, which we kind of knew was happening, but a lot of people were upset that. And after researching and like hearing the different perspectives and sitting and thinking, I have my thoughts on the situation. I gotta let you know how Cake sees it. Obviously, I know that my thoughts and my points had kind of come with an asterisk because I did end up seeing the movie. I can't fully say with my chest that I committed to this boycott, because I didn't. I tuned in to see the movie. But I believe that, there should be grace extended for someone who wasn't aware. And it wasn't with a blissful ignorance either. It's just I personally was not aware of the situation. So for starters, I definitely understand. I definitely support those who want to push the boycott. I think that with the stances that have been made, and with the ongoing violence that has been going on with the situation in Palestine, I definitely think that, the public at large wants a ceasefire, and that a lot of people are expecting celebrities and influencers to give their stance, extend their support. And if they have not extended their support, or if they've extended their support in the wrong way, in the way towards hatred, in the way towards violence, they disinvest, they, drag the girls online. Like, there is a process to this, because people want to make sure they support those with good intentions, those with heart. And I think that's definitely understandable. I, for one, believe that we need to call this ceasefire. We need to end this violence and these acts of terror that are going on. Additionally, sidebar, we also need to express some love and support to those in Congo. The unethical, situations that have been going on down there definitely need to be brought up. They need to be discussed, and they need to be remedied, because the amount of atrocities that have been going on, not just recently, but they've been going on for a while across the board, is, horrific. And it's unfortunate that it had to get to this point for people to like realize. And I think that we really need to, I'm glad that a lot of people are coming together, extending support, boosting posts, donating, doing whatever they can to make sure that we can get closer to peace, get closer to saving human life, because at the end of the day, that's what's important here. We need to save the lives that are here so that we can mourn those who have been lost in these unfortunate situations. The choice of boycotting Beyonce and using Beyonce as the target, and more so as the only target, it might be a little bit misdirected. I'm not saying that we can't boycott Beyonce, because I did just say earlier on that I definitely understand why people would boycott her. I'm just saying that the impact of the boycott could be done in a better way if it was targeted towards, the distribution company and the theater chain that is handling the distribution on that film. And AMC Theaters, come to the front. We're talking about you today. With someone who has like an affinity for the film industry, and someone who has high level knowledge as to how that industry works, I know that creatives don't necessarily have a lot of say as to which countries that a film can play in, how exactly a film can be released in terms of, that process. Usually creatives can have a range. Some of them don't have no say towards it. Others, for example, Martin Scorsese can have a say as to, what what type of distribution it is, whether it can hit streaming, whether it can hit theaters, whether it can be day and date, whether there can be both, but it's a window. The differences kind of stop there. And with what we know about the deal that Beyonce took, all we really know is that she gave up rights to theaters for the she gave the rights to distribution to AMC for theaters. She would get a 50% take of the box office gross, and that's really it. If we also kind of look at what Taylor Swift's movie has been able to do, we also know that she was able to give up the home distribution rights. So, the video on demand and potentially physical media release of the film to Universal Home Entertainment. So we know that there will likely be another party that will be handling the extended distribution of this film and potentially streaming as well. And my point in bringing this up is even though Beyonce is definitely one of the most powerful people in the world, one of the most powerful artists in the world, she's also very rich. Beyonce is one of the biggest and one of the most influential people in the world. Forbes literally named her one of the 36 most, they named her the 36th most powerful woman of 2023. I don't think she had the mindfulness to like have something in her contract where she could tell AMC which countries to distribute the movie in. At least not in this current political situation that we were engaging in. And if she did, I don't think she cared. I mean, let's be very clear here. This Renaissance era is one of Beyonce's most greediest and gluttonous eras yet. And that's with no shade. Like, whether it was with the heavy promotion that she was doing and like the collabs that she was doing with Tiffany and Co. Whether it was I think it was Vogue, one of the like magazine collaborations that she also did with the big fashion houses, to do looks inspired by a bunch of the different houses of ballroom, even though that is very much like an antithesis to what what ballroom is, because ballroom is a very one Renaissance is already a mainstream homage to ballroom, which isn't ballroom, because ballroom is an underground thing for the Black and queer community. The LGBTQ community, they were the have-nots. They were the people who were not safe. They didn't feel safe. They didn't have a safe space to feel welcome, to feel like themselves. And they also didn't have the coin. They also didn't have the money. Also didn't have the backing of stuff like these major fashion houses and stuff like that, because they didn't see them. They didn't see what ballroom represented in their looks. And it also kind of goes against what Beyonce personally was kind of saying with Uncle Johnny. Now, I'm not trying to be offensive when I say this, but when looking at the movie and hearing what Beyonce had to say about, Uncle Johnny, which this album in this era is paying homage to, I feel like it's kind of was there and supported you and help make clothes with your mom, help make looks for you and Destiny's Child, when make looks for, Southern Black curvy girls. It feels kind of odd that, you're doing that, paying homage to that by going to the very fashion houses who likely paid you dust back in the day. And that, again, that's not to be like disrespectful, and that's not me trying to intentionally come off as ignorant. That's just my perception of things and how I've kind of questioned the authenticity of it. Again, like it's hard for people, especially me, to like, when I was watching the movie and stuff, to like understand that and grapple with that, because one, For a lot of people, Beyonce's their fave, like she can do no wrong. And for others, like without really thinking, without really breaking down into the whole of the album, the whole of this era, the whole of the film, they don't see the cracks, they don't see the imperfections. And obviously this era, Beyonce has very much made it clear that, she's being imperfect and it's a-okay. And I'm not saying that that's not okay for her to be imperfect. Everybody's imperfect. But I definitely just want to acknowledge that this era has been questionable. This era, not in terms of quality, but in terms of what she's been trying to stand on in terms of business and a lot of the deals that have been made. But I definitely think, I think the boycott, while I definitely think that you guys, I'm not going to stop people from trying to boycott Beyonce by any means, because that's not my fight, that's not my battle. But I think those that are boycotting Beyonce and trying to boycott this film should also other boycott Target, who has a lot more say and a lot more clout with how this movie ended up in the places that it did. And then touching back on the previous point, Beyonce low-key greedy. Like Beyonce really been in her like bag again, like as I touched on, she's been in her bag this era. She's been getting a lot of money. She's earned like hundreds of millions of billions of dollars from this tour, from these albums, from this concert film. It's adding up. And I think that it's definitely fair for people to believe that this film could have released in one less country than it did. And I think that she should make a statement. She's made statements in her music and in, she's tapped her toe in other global issues, especially in Black issues as well. I don't think that it's wrong for people to ask that she speaks on this issue. And if she's not familiar with it, do the research or work with people who are familiar with this situation. And low key, some people are also like, oh, like what could she do? What could she do about the situation? I'll solve this in 2 seconds. So you guys know she has that foundation, right? Be Good. Then that's the 2 seconds. She could give money. Obviously, I've heard from, I can't confirm if we're at the stage where donating money is still useful or not. I would assume that it is, or directing it to some sort of fund to do something I would probably be useful. But again, I am not truly familiar on that. I hope that if anyone is familiar with that, please drop it in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, or, but providing some sort of funding or support financially, or like donating to another charity, or working with a nonprofit to provide some sort of aid to people who are impacted, like I don't think that it would be that difficult for her to do or for her to make those moves, for sure, especially because of the fact that Be Good has done different things that have been within that similar vein before, or Beyonce personally has endorsed different charities and nonprofits that have done stuff like that before. So I don't think it's hard for her to get on the phone with somebody and figure that out. So that's just how I feel on the situation. I think that if you guys have any thoughts, if you guys want to discuss my thoughts on it more, you want to go back and forth about the situation, please let's have a nice, safe conversation. I don't want people being in there at I don't want people trying to attack me or trying to attack other people in the comments, or in wherever if they share clips of this on social media. I just want this to be let's have a normal conversation about this, please. Like that's all we need to do. Let's just have a conversation, a dialogue about this. If you want, drop it in the comments below. Let's talk about some hot topics before this episode run up. So in other news, Paramount Plus and Apple TV Plus supposed to be doing a bundle. They're supposed to be doing a bundle, allegedly. Paramount is kind of interesting as a company because they've always had the we gonna get bought out allegations, and it's kind of hilarious how they kind of ignore that. I think they're like one of the few companies, I think them and Lionsgate are like one of the 2 companies in which they kind of completely act blind to the idea of acquisition rumors. Lionsgate less so, because now they're like, oh, we bought Stars and now we don't want it anymore, so we're going to split it up again, and maybe someone might buy us. Who knows? They throwing their hands up. Who knows? But Paramount is kind of like, oh, we're gonna hold our own, like we kind of good, we're not gonna do no acquisitions or rumors. Like if we do anything, we're gonna buy somebody else. And everyone's like, oh, okay. Like no shade to Paramount because they have a great library of IP, but they're not Disney, they're not Universal, they're not Warner Brothers, they're not a legacy. Like they are a legacy. I'm not saying that they're not legacy. I mean, they have Paramount Pictures and CBS, two of the most historic entertainment brands in American history. But people don't tune in to Paramount content exclusively like that. I think that they definitely kind of get a little bit more niche, or they either get niche content right, or they kind of get some of their film and television content right. I think they do good with like some of their IPs, like Sonic. They try to get Mean Girls back going, stuff like that. Transformers keeps coming back from the dead every now and then. It's just very interesting seeing them kind of keep kicking by, and they don't have like a firm strategy. They keep kind of bouncing around with strategies too, mind you. It's because I know originally before Paramount Plus launched, they were like, oh, like we're not going to launch a streaming service. We are going to be the media broker that everyone needs. We're going to just sell our content off to every streaming service and network that wants it, and we're just going to keep pulled and maintaining our TV networks. And we're like, okay, that's good, that's smart. Then they bought Pluto TV, and we're like, okay, I mean, we love Pluto, and you can definitely put some of your content on there for free. Like we're down for this, as long as you don't charge us for anything, we're good. And then they said, okay, we're merging merging Viacom and CBS together. And we're like, oh, I know, we know what y'all doing. And then they launched Paramount Plus, and we're kind of like, and they merged Showtime, and we're like, Like if you were to ask me, because I know that everyone's like, oh, there's probably going to be like 4 or so streaming services that are going to stay around. And if you ask me which ones are going to stick around, I would say, a combined Disney service, Netflix, Amazon, and I would say it's a toss up between honestly, I would say Max is the 4th, but I could foresee there being some sort of triple team up or double team up between Paramount, Warner Brothers Discovery, or NBC Universal, because there was a period of time in which it was kind of like, oh, like HBO Max, that's like the de facto 4th streaming service. Like it's HBO. But once Warner Brothers Discovery acquired it and they're kind of doing a lot of their own things, it's kind of like, ooh, we don't know. We don't know if people want that like that. So we'll see. We're going to wait and see if there's any further acquisitions and if the U.S. government decides to let it slide once again. Also, another hot topic. This is a personal hot topic. I wasn't able. Fandango needs to do better with their refund process. This is a complaint. This is a hot complaint. So today I was supposed to go see. At the time of recording, I'm recording this on like Tuesday. This Tuesday, the Tuesday before I drop on Thursday. This Tuesday, I was trying to go see Godzilla, and I was really excited to see Godzilla Minus One because the girls seem to really be excited. Like the girls really like it. I have not heard a single negative review about it. So I was like, ooh, okay, let me tune in. The girls saying it's good. Let me tune in. So I literally purchased my ticket, go to the theater, sit down, pre-roll plays. I see all the trailers. And then we have like your feature presentation is about to begin or whatever. After that, it's just a pitch dark screen. And me and the other audience goers look up and back at the projector, and nobody's monitoring the projector. So somebody goes to the manager and flags them. And they try, I think they tried multiple times to like restart the projector and then restart like the reel to see, or like the media sort of player, so that they could play Godzilla's Minus One, and it just didn't start up. So they're like, oh, like, we're sorry, what we could, like, we can give you guys free passes and as apology, and you could also get, seated for the next showing today in a different format, and me and a few other people were like, no, because if I paid the additional money to go see it in like this extra premium format, why if I'm paying to see it in a premium format, I should just ball out and experience it in like a true, like a strong premium format rather than like this no name one. You know what I'm saying? And I tried, they gave me they gave me double ticket passes. First of all, thank you to my theater for doing that. They didn't have to. They could have just been like, oh yeah, here's one ticket, but they gave me double, so thank y'all so much. But they gave me those remit passes, and they were also like, oh, like we could also refund the ticket depending on if you get it. And my ticket was from Fandango, wasn't directly from the theater. And they're like, ooh, we're sorry, because it's Fandango, like because it's through a third party, we can't refund this. You have to contact Fandango and like get it refunded. And I'm like trying to go through the app, and the app is like, ooh, you can't do this because it's after showtime. And then I tried Googling it, and I also tried looking at Reddit to see if anybody else had the tips. Nobody had the tips apparently on this. And I asked one of my like group chats, one of the Discord servers I'm in for like movie news and stuff like that, and like movie discussion. And Fandango just kind of, it seems like when you need to do a refund after the like window that they give you, you're kind of SOL with Fandango. And that's just regardless of any reason. And I'm like, that's just kind of like rough. Like, that's not fair. Like, obviously they do it because they don't want people trying to run a game on them, going to see a movie and then trying to refund it. But I think that there should be some sort of like leniency with the process when it's something like a Showtime cancellation like this, because I people I'm putting my Karen bob on. I got that bob on. The bob is fire. Like I need, I don't need it. I don't need my money back, but I would love my money back. That's kind of how I'm feeling. That's just how I'm feeling about the situation. But we're gonna end this here. This is like 40 minutes long, but I'm gonna try to cut it and see how far it gets. And yeah, this has been Cake Radio.